They already came to visit up on the Hill, Parliament Hill, and had a tour.
You did? Yeah. Fantastic. And these are all we want everyone possible to support us, regardless of which party they supported in the past. The country's coming together. We can win.
We are voting for change because we love this country and we want every single person to have the promise of Canada, that anyone who works hard can have a great life in a beautiful, affordable home on a safe street under our proud flag. That's the change we need. That's the hope we offer. Now let's vote to bring it home.
Prime Minister Trudeau was in his own right deeply unpopular, but I don't think the polls would have the Liberals in the position where they're favored to win Monday without what's happened since January 20th and the rhetoric from the American president, particularly that about the 51st state and calling the Prime Minister governor. I think on a whole, Canadians have a lot of admiration and fondness for the United States, but we want to be our own country and we take that pretty personally.
One thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera.
President Trump tends to suck up almost all the oxygen here, and I think, unfortunately, the wider set of very broad and extensive and previously very productive, very collegial relationships with the United States and Americans more broadly are getting looked at through the prism of the relationship between Canadian politicians and the American president and his administration narrowly.
President Trump repeated his attacks on Canada. He said he doesn't want Canada, I'm quoting, to play any part in the American auto industry. So I'll be equally clear. This is Canada. We decide what happens here.
We need to put Canada first for a change, with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, unleash our resource production, build pipelines, secure our border, rebuild our armed forces, and stand up to Donald Trump from a position of strength.
I think about half the electorate, based on the public polling, is looking to elect a prime minister that would be able to take on and be forceful with President Trump and to chart a new relationship with the United States. There's about another half of the electorate that is concerned with the same kind of issues that had the Conservative Party up until the beginning of January, 20 points up in the polls, which is a concern about cost of living issues and the state of the economy, particularly for people under about the age of 40, for whom life is increasingly unaffordable. So there's definitely been an interest in strengthening ties with Europe. Saw that from Prime Minister Carney too. The Liberals have talked about bolstering our ties with European partners, including in the Arctic for the first time. That all has basically nowhere else to go but up from this point because we don't have nearly as extensive ties as we probably should. Canada has had an extremely intertwined, interrelated set of relationships with the United States for basically the whole breadth and depth of our national security and defense relationships, operationally and an intelligence sharing point of view, and that ties into our procurement choices and our supply chains. The way that the American president's been talking since the 20th of January has really caused a lot of concern about whether or not we can rely on the United States to be the same kind of dependable, reliable defense and security ally that they have been for 80 years, basically. That's put a lot of that into question.